Hey guys, I know it's been a little bit since I've uploaded something new, but I just finished reading one today and I put the PowerPoint together and I wanted to go over it with you guys. This is the Gospel of the Lord by, well, it's not by Marcion of Sinope, but it was circulated by him. He's the prime reason we have it. Now, according to Tertullian and others, Marcion was the son of a rich bishop who was born at Sinope in Pontus. He was a rich shipmaster and arrived in Rome from 138 to 142 AD. He died about 170 AD. He ignored traditions of doctrine and practice and rejected the principles of allegorical interpretation as it was applied. Others of the Old Testament, as applied by others of the Old Testament. He considered St. Paul the only true apostle. He tried to remodel the church at Rome with these views and went out and established his own system, which was very successful in the 4th century. There were Marcionite congregations in Italy, Egypt, Palestine, Arabia, Syria, and even Persia. So just a little background on this, basically. What you're going to find is this is just like a smorgasbord mix of all the Gospels together. Okay, this is not the Q document by any means. But this is a gospel that the church actually deemed heretical. And I figured we'd go over it now. So let's go over the 12 signs. The first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man. Now, I always say that the first sign is Aries, but I start with Aquarius because that's January. That's kind of our new year. The other thing I always say is that Aquarius, being a man with a water pitcher, the fact that there's water in the picture in Aquarius, there's water in Aquarius, it could be used to describe water. So whenever you hear the words son of man, man, baptism, water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, creek, that's talking about Aquarius. And the same examples for the water, minus the baptism and minus the son of man and man, all the water examples I just gave you apply to Pisces too, which is the sign of the 2 fish in the water. Pisces being the mutable water sign, it's actually a water sign. Whereas Aquarius is actually an air sign. Aries is the ram, and in Aries you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator. In Christianity, the Passover is changed and it's called the resurrection of God's son. So that's the second Passover. And in Judaism, the third Passover is when the angel of death passes over everyone that doesn't have the blood of the ram or the lamb, Aries being the ram, doesn't have the ram's blood on the doorposts. Anyone that didn't have that lost their firstborn sons. So whenever you hear the words ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn, or even Jewish people, they're talking about Aries. Taurus being the bull. When you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow, you're talking about Taurus, cow being the female bull, by the way. Then Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, you're talking about Gemini. Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. We don't shuffle to the side to side, unless we're doing like a sports drill or something. That's not how we walk. We walk front to back, maybe diagonal, but always in a straight line, always in a line. The crab moves side to side, just like the sun does, as I'm about to explain. The sun, starting on December 25th, rises a degree on its axis. It's born. That's why the ancient gods were born on December 25th. The sun rises a degree. Then it rises an additional degree every single day until it hits June 21st, which is the summer solstice. Then once it hits the summer solstice, it stays there for 3 days. So it walks sideways, okay? Then on June 25th, it drops a degree, and then it continues to drop a degree every day until it hits December 21st, where it will then walk 3 days sideways again, okay? And then raise again on December 25th. It does this every year without fail. So those 6 days of walking sideways, okay, that happens after the solstices. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you're talking about crab or beetle, you're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before when we said that you plant in Taurus, well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, grainy things that you harvest season is always in Virgo. Okay, you can literally look it up. It's the same thing nowadays. Libra is the justice. It's the scales. It's the balance. He's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Okay, Libra is also wine season. So when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. It's also olive season. So you press the wine and you press the olives to get the oil and the wine. So whenever you hear law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, lawyer, wine, vineyard, wine press, grapes, olive oil, you're talking about Libra. Scorpio is the scorpion, and he's the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like two lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death. And it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, and it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun, effectively killing it. Why? Because the last day of Sagittarius is December 21st. That's the winter solstice. The sun doesn't rise above the horizon. The ancients would look at the sun on December 21st and they see it wouldn't even rise above the horizon. So they would say the sun was dead. And then they noticed that it didn't move up or down for 3 days. So suddenly God's son was dead for 3 days, where he's born on December 25th of the birth of God's son. He rises another degree and starts his way back up to the top. It's known as the hero's journey, according to Joseph Campbell. We all have different paths that follow the same way. But that's basically what it is. So whenever you're talking about horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. Finally, you have Capricorn, the goat, because he likes to climb the mountain. So if you look at a zodiac wheel, you'll see that Cancer is at the top and Capricorn's at the bottom. That's how the wheel is supposed to look. If it is not shown in that way, then it is not an accurate wheel. It is an accurate wheel, but it's not being portrayed the correct way. Cancer being the top, so imagine the sun walking alongside the zodiac wheel. When it gets to the tippy top, that's June 21st. At the very, very bottom, that's Sagittarius, December 21st. Walk sideways for 3 days, you're in Capricorn, okay, because he likes to climb the mountain. Capricorn being at the bottom of the zodiac wheel, he starts to climb up the mountain, just like the goats. So that is the 12 signs. Now, let's just jump in. 2:38. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. No man also having drunk old wine straightway desireth new. The grapes are crushed in Libra, which is what this passage references, just a passage about Libra. Okay? And it came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first that he was going through the cornfields. Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath days? How he went into the house of God and did take and eat shewbread. That the Son of Man is Lord even on the Sabbath. So the corn is fielded in Virgo. The lawful is the law, which is Libra, with the scales. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs in the zodiac. The shewbread is also Virgo, and the Son of Man is Aquarius. So there's a few signs just in this. Okay, here's 4:29. And all the people, when they heard it, and the publicans justified God, being baptized with the baptism of John. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the counsel of God unto themselves, being not baptized of him. Justified, judge, justice, lawyers, that's all Libra, remember? The baptism takes place in Aquarius as it's a man with a water pitcher pouring it out, which is, well, that's how you baptize someone. For John the Baptist is come neither eating bread nor drinking wine. The Son of Man is come eating and drinking. John the Baptist represents Aquarius, the baptizer. The bread is Virgo, the wine is Libra. The Son of Man is also Aquarius. Scorpio is Judas, and Simon Peter is Pisces. Okay, so there's 3 disciples that I've just given you that each represent the zodiac sign. John the Baptist, well, he's the baptizer. That's Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher, so that's clear. Judas being the betrayer who betrays with the kiss, that's Scorpio. And Simon Peter. Well, what was Peter's job? Simon Peter. He was a fisherman, but he was given the name Peter after Simon, which doesn't make sense because that's not a nickname. It's not a name that would jump. It's not like Michael, Mike, Thomas, Tom, Ron, Ronald. It doesn't work like that. Simon Peter doesn't make sense unless you understand astrology. Simon Peter is Pisces, because Simon is the fisherman. That was his job. And the fish are Pisces. And the ruling planet of Pisces is Jupiter, or Jew Peter. Okay, so I've given you 3 examples. Now there's other examples for the rest of the 12 disciples, but I'm not going to go into that. I just gave you kind of 3 right now. 6:13. We have not more than 5 loaves and 2 fishes. We remember this, right? From the book of Matthew and from the Gospels. The 2 fish are the 2 fish in Pisces. The loaves or the bread is Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk, because that's when you harvest the wheat. These 2 are opposing signs. So I always make this point that not only are you going to find connecting signs and opposing signs, but you're going to find them more often than not. So not only are they randomly just talking about zodiac signs or inferencing zodiac signs, but they're inferencing them. And not only are they inferencing them, but there's a pattern to them. Okay, when you're in a sign, the 3 most important signs are your 2 connecting signs and your opposing sign. Okay, and also as far as the 5 loaves of bread, if you count 5 signs from Aries, the start of the new year, you get Virgo, hence 5 loaves and 2 fish. The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be slain and be raised on the 3rd day. Jesus is given the title of Son of Man. He must be raised, then celebrated during the Passover, then hit height in summer solstice, then be judged in Libra, betrayed in Scorpio, die in Sagittarius December 21st, and raised on December 25th, the 3rd day after being killed. It's known as the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell mentions it. Okay, therefore said he unto them, the harvest is truly great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he may send forth laborers into his harvest. Go your ways. Behold, I send you forth as lambs in the midst of wolves. Well, the harvest takes place in Virgo. We've mentioned that before. Now, the lambs are Aries, and the wolf is a constellation called Lupus, which borders Libra. Okay, Aries and Libra are opposing signs. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. Again, there are the passages right there with the what do you call it? With the patterns, the opposing signs, connecting signs. You'll see that so much. Doesn't matter what book I take. Behold, I give unto you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. Here's another connecting sign one. Now, in 150 AD, Ptolemy came out with a list of the 48 constellations they knew about at the time. We know 88 now, but they knew about 48 at the time. Now, the serpent is Ophiuchus, okay, who was known at the time, but was not part of, but who was part of Vedic or sidereal astrology. Everything that I do goes by tropical astrology, okay, which is the 12 signs, which is equally broken down into 30 days, basically. And that's basically what I do, because that's how the Bible and everything, any of the books that I've decoded so far, that's how it's written. It's written with that. It's not written with Ophiuchus as the 13th sign. When you add Ophiuchus to the 13th sign, it changes the dates for all the other signs. Suddenly Virgo becomes a month and a half, whereas Scorpio becomes 6 days. Okay, so it doesn't line up. You don't have a perfect cross when you meet the solstices and the equinoxes anymore. It messes up the opposing signs and the connecting signs. However, this one in particular, Scorpio is Ophiuchus. I'm sorry, the serpent is Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, and scorpions are Scorpio. Those do, when you put them in order, happen to be connecting signs. And went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and sent him on his own beast. Oil is Libra, as is wine. And he set him on his own horse, or Sagittarius. But of which of you that is a father shall his son ask for a loaf and will give him a stone, or a fish, and he shall instead ask of or a fish, and he instead of a fish will give him a serpent, or if he shall ask of an egg, will he give him a scorpion? The loaf is the bread in Virgo. The fish are Pisces, the fish. Those are opposing signs. The serpent is Ophiuchus, and the Scorpio is Scorpion, which is connecting signs. There are examples of multiple of the same animals, for example. I've mentioned before in my intro video that I mentioned in my intro video that the scorpion, hold on a sec. Sorry about that. Someone was at the door. I've mentioned previously in my intro video, when you're talking about this kind of stuff, that the serpent can be, the serpent is either Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, or Hydra, which is on the other side of the zodiac. Hail Hydra. Hydra is the sea serpent. Okay, so that's an example of how it could be the same. Now, the other one is Scorpio becomes the eagle in astrology. It evolves into the eagle. But there's also a constellation called Aquila, which is the eagle as well. Okay, so when you're decoding this, you have to be just like in the same way that when you've got two, I call them water signs, when Pisces really is the only water sign, but I call Aquarius a water sign because that's how I do a lot of decoding. You have to just find the patterns. You have to find the connecting signs and the opposing signs to know which sign they're talking about, because that is your crutch. You will always find the connecting signs and the opposing signs. Okay, it will always be there. That's how you know this was done on purpose. If it was just random animals that didn't form any patterns, you look at Revelation 4:7 with the four beasts that form the four fixed signs. Consider the ravens that they sow nor reap. Let me try that again. Consider the ravens that they sow not nor reap. Raven is the constellation Corvus and borders Virgo, but it's not in Virgo. So Virgo is when you reap, Taurus is when you sow. Being that Corvus is in neither sign, therefore it does not reap or sow. These metaphors are pretty deep. Okay. So you just got to remember what I told you about the 12 signs in order to figure this stuff out. Okay. Yet I say unto you, not even Solomon in all his glory was arrayed like one of these. Solomon is not the name of a king. Solomon is a combination of three ancient words for the sun. Sol, which is sun in Latin. Om is Buddhist for the sun. Om. And On, which was the Greek city of light, Heliopolis, called On. When you go into a bedroom, you have to turn the lights on. You turn people on to wake their light. So technically it's Sol, Om, On. Three different words for the sun, because all of the Bible and the Gnostic texts and the heretical texts and all this, it's solar worship. Okay, I came to cast fire on the earth, but I have a baptism to be baptized with. So fire and water, two of the elements. The gospel is also alchemical, as I've mentioned before. It's 7 sciences. I just handle this astrology. The sun casts fire on the earth, but when the sun is in Aquarius, it is buried in the water. It's a metaphor. In Jesus's case, he came to light the world on fire. That's not quite what he said, but that's what he basically said. He was coming to divide the light. He basically light him on fire. But he has to be baptized by John the Baptist. And he said, unto what is the kingdom of God like? And whereunto shall I liken it? It is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and cast in his own garden, and it grew, and it became a great tree. And the birds of the heaven lodge in the branches of it. And again he said, whereunto shall I liken the kingdom of God? It is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 sata of meal till the whole was leavened. So the mustard seed, or the seed in general, is Virgo. Remember I mentioned the seed? And the leaven for the bread is Virgo as well. Notice they said it was a woman that hid in meal. It wasn't a man, because the lady with the wheat stalk. There shall be the weeping and gnashing of teeth when you shall see all the righteous in the kingdom of God and yourself thrust out and held back outside. So held outside of the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is warm and sunny. The kingdom of heaven is very loving. It's very bringing in. As Santos and I have previously made the point that hell is winter. You can see that because they constantly talk about where souls are cast into the pit of hell. But where do you tear up and gnash or chatter your teeth? Is it hot or cold when you chatter your teeth? The cold, right? So they're talking about hell being winter. Again, it's you invert it and you pervert it. That's what you do. That's how you control people. And it came to pass as he went into the house of one of the rulers of the Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they were watching him. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy. And Jesus answered and spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? But they held their peace. As he took him and healed him and let him go, he answered and said unto them, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a well and will not straightway pull him up on the Sabbath? Let's break that down. The bread is Virgo. The lawyers are the law, judge, justice, and Libra, connecting signs. The ass is donkey, or Celis borealis, which is in Cancer, and the ox is Taurus. How much owest thou unto my Lord? And he said, 100 baths of oil. Then said he to another, and how much owest thou? And he said, 100 cores of wheat. The oil is Libra, the wheat is Virgo. These are connecting signs. Again, the pattern, guys. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus. This talks about the raising of Lazarus from the dead, one of Jesus' many miracles that they constantly point to, raising Lazarus from the dead. However, it's not an original story. Lazarus actually goes back to the Egyptian time. It's the story of raising of El Azar. You see where you get Lazarus from? El Azar, which has been connected to Horus and Osiris when Osiris is killed from Set. Horus, the sun god, raises Osiris after being killed. And the Lord said, if ye had faith as a grain of mustard seed, you would say unto this mulberry tree, be thou uprooted and be thou planted in the sea, and it would have obeyed you. But who is there of you having a servant plowing or keeping sheep that will say unto him? So the seed is Virgo, the sea is Pisces, right? Opposing signs. The plowing takes place in Taurus, and the sheep are in Aries, connecting signs. Neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there, for lo, the kingdom of God is within you. Taken straight from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The kingdom of God is within you. Is taken straight from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Remember Lot's wife. This is 1432. Remember Lot's wife. Lot and Lot's wife in Sodom and Gomorrah. In the ancient times, people were paid with salt. It's where the word salary comes from. Salt. Why? Because it preserved the meat. And when you killed a cow and didn't eat it in one day, it would go bad. Salt kept it viable for longer. There was no refrigeration back then. Salt was the highest currency aside from gold and silver. So when she turned into a pile of salt, you have to think about it like they thought about it at that time. That's leaving an incredible amount of money. It's basically like leaving Vegas and turning into a pile of money when you turn to look one back at it from McCarran Airport. For it is easier for a camel to enter through the needle's eye than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So there's no way a camel can enter through the needle. So it's trying to make a metaphor here. However, if you know there's a constellation called Camelopardalis, which is in Gemini, the light from that constellation could pass through the needle of the eye. So it kind of just, when you really understand it, it kind of takes that point away. What wilt thou that I shall do unto thee? And he said, Lord, that I may receive my sight. And Jesus said unto him, receive thy sight, thy faith has saved thee. And immediately he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. Well, the sun does the same thing. When the sun goes down at night, we are blind, we lose our sight. But when the sun comes up and touches our eyes in the morning, we can see again. And there shall be signs in sun and moon and stars, and they shall see the Son of Man coming. Finally, openly talking about the signs in the sun. The Son of Man is Aquarius. The new age is coming. Now the feast of the unleavened bread was coming near, which is called the Passover. And they said unto him, where dost thou wish that we make ready? And he said unto them, behold, when ye have entered the city, a man shall meet you bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into his house whereinto he goeth, and he will shew you a large upper room furnished. Passover takes place in Aries, the 3 different Passovers. I mentioned that before. You have the sun passing over the equator, the angel of death passing over Egypt, and the resurrection of the sun. The man with the water pitcher is Aquarius, literally a man with a water pitcher. And that's why they will celebrate in that house. Each zodiac sign is called a house, a room, an age, an eon. There's different metaphorical ways to describe it. But Jesus said unto him, Judas, with a kiss betrayest thou the Son of Man? Well, sorry, not Jesus represents Scorpio, but Judas represents Scorpio, the betrayer. As I've mentioned before, the 3 that I already talked about, which were Simon Peter, Judas. I'm sorry, Simon Peter and Judas. I can't remember the third one right now. He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee, saying that the Son of Man must be delivered up into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again. Again, the Son must be born, pass over, hit its peak, be judged, betrayed, killed, and reborn 3 days later. That's the pattern, guys. Does it every year. Okay? Now, finally, he is not yet here, but is risen. I'm sorry. Have ye here anything eatable? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of a honeycomb. The fish is Pisces, and the honeycomb comes from a group of stars called the Beehive Cluster. That's where all the honey comes from. That's why John the Baptist in the book of Matthew, he eats wild honey and locusts. You might think that eating locusts is gross, but in Leviticus 11, that's exactly where they tell you that you can eat certain hopped animals, hopped bugs. So that being it, just wanted to share this new one with you. I'm making my way through the Bible, and I'm going through each and every book, and I hope to have a video for each and every book of the Bible. That's going to take me a while, but I'm working on it, so I hope you guys like this new one.